As the war in the Mideast continues, we begin with its impact on the homeland here in America. The U.S. is sending new money and military aid to Israel to shore up operations after the surprise attack by the Islamic extremist terrorist group Hamas 3 weeks ago. The U.S. has already given tens of billions to Ukraine after Russia's invasion. But we're facing a crisis when it comes to keeping our own military strong. For decades, our armed forces have successfully operated as an all-volunteer element, consistently meeting recruiting goals until now. This has been the toughest recruitment year for the military since the draft ended 50 years ago. Why and what the Pentagon is doing to solve it is our cover story. At North Stafford High School in Virginia, the Army is here to impress and recruit.
I think it's a pretty cool experience to be able to witness something like that.
The Army calls this Operation Power Surge.
You can come over here and point.
The mission, to get more high school students thinking about a career in the U.S. military.
There's so many different jobs, so many things that you can do in the Army. And so we're here to try to shed that light and let people know that you can be all you can be. There's a place for you here in the Army.
America's current all-volunteer military force was built starting at the end of the Vietnam War in 1973. 25 years of the draft, forced military service for selected men, was brought to a halt.
You should be posting security that way! Fix this now!
Attracting a strong force of volunteers has worked out pretty well over the 50 years. The military has always met its recruiting goals. That is, until last year. In 2022, the Army fell short 15,000 recruits, about 25% of its goal of 60,000. And for 2023, 3 of 5 military branches are on track to miss their recruiting numbers. We headed to America's military headquarters, the Pentagon in Arlington, Virginia, to hear from Brigadier General Pat Ryder.
Well, first of all, we are facing some significant recruiting challenges. It's obviously a very competitive environment right now in terms of recruiting talent throughout America, and the military is not immune from that. But we are actively employing a variety of methods to try to recruit the best that America has to offer to fill our ranks.
If recruiting has never been tougher, there have probably never been more reasons why.
Just staying away from family, probably, like not being able to stay with family.
Not wanting to leave family and friends is a top reason why young people say they might avoid a military career, according to an Army survey. Also high on the list, worries about post-traumatic stress disorder, and most of all, fear of death.
So the main question is, like, I don't want to go to combat. And my first thing to them is like, hey, you don't have to go to combat. Every job is not a combat job.
As far as videos used to make a military career seem appealing, this one has more than 8 million views. Midshipmen at the Naval Academy in Annapolis, Maryland, starred in Naptown Funk, a 2015 spoof of the hit song Uptown Funk.
If you want to be like us, come try to be like us. And that lust is us. We got this ocean view. We dare you to try to compete. And yes, we're challenging you. San Diego, jump on it. If you think you have it, then flown it. Norfolk, can you own it? You're a Navy town, so show it.
Maverick, the 2022 sequel to Top Gun, did its share of inspiring would-be Air Force recruits with macho man excitement.
What the hell?
But the military is also trying a controversial new approach. The Navy using an active-duty drag queen, a male entertainer impersonating an exaggerated version of a woman, to serve as a digital recruiting ambassador.
I said I'd never join.
General Ryder says the military is trying out a lot of other strategies, too.
So, for example, the Army just rolled out a new updated Be All You Can Be campaign to really talk to potential recruits, to young Americans, and to their families and to influencers about the fact that the Army can afford opportunities for you to achieve your full potential. The Air Force similarly has updated its campaign to highlight the opportunities that exist, and all of the services are really doing that. So it's a full court press across a variety of means and methods to really reintroduce America to its military.
Be all you can be.
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 There you go.
When it comes to military hesitancy, according to the Army survey, about 10% of young people say they don't trust military leadership based on the way recent missions have been handled. One widely criticized event was the U.S. withdrawal from Afghanistan in summer of 2021. 13 U.S. troops and 170 Afghan civilians were murdered. A botched U.S. drone strike killed 10 innocent Afghans, including 7 children. Hundreds of Americans were stranded, and the country was handed back over to the Taliban, the same Islamic extremist terrorist regime the U.S. had fought for 2 decades. Do you think the Afghanistan withdrawal that was so disastrous and made it kind of look as though it was for naught, what we had done all those years, do you think that played a factor?
It definitely did play a big factor.
Congressman Warren Davidson is a former Army Ranger.
The Biden administration did it the exact wrong way. They took the military out, they abandoned the embassy, and then they were counting on the Taliban to help get the rest of the civilians out. Horrible plan. It's amazing it went as well as it did, and it didn't go well at all. So it didn't inspire confidence in moms and dads to say, hey, I think my kids could be part of that.
Davidson graduated from West Point and now serves on the Military Academy's advisory board.
We've had a decrease in applicants at West Point, and then in the district, we work with people to enlist.
Senator Joni Ernst, who was a lieutenant colonel in the Iowa National Guard, says she has little doubt that young people today are put off by TV commercials showing injured vets seemingly abandoned by government and getting help from citizen donors.
I'd like to ask you to contribute $11 a month to support their efforts.
But there are many other reasons that we can't recruit. A lot of our young people aren't qualified for military service. We are at an all-time low of people that will actually meet the standard. Things such as physical health, mental health, even police records. And those between the ages of 18 and 24, out of all those young people, only 23% are eligible to serve. And it's an even slimmer population within that 23% that actually do want to serve.
Another controversy, at least 8,000 enlisted service members were booted for not getting the COVID vaccine. The vaccine mandates got a lot of publicity in the press. What is the impact of that publicity, do you think?
As a member of the military for 30 years, all of us have had to take and continue to take multiple vaccines. So when we applied the vaccine mandate, that was a lawful order. And while that has been rescinded, we continue to encourage our members to become vaccinated because, again, I need to be able to count on you to go where I need you, when I need you to get there.
But one of the most public debates involves wokeness, the notion that activists are using the military to advance controversial social causes rather than protect and defend the nation.
Go ahead and put up the first slide.
Last March, Republican Matt Gaetz questioned Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin and then Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff General Mark Milley about military facilities hosting drag shows.
How much taxpayer money should go to fund drag queen story hours on military bases?
You know, drag queen story hours is not something that the department funds.
I'd like to take a look at those because I don't agree with those.
Well, they're now in the official record.
Shouldn't be happening.
Not long after that testimony, the Pentagon ordered Nellis Air Force Base in Nevada to cancel a drag show scheduled to perform at the Officers Club, as it had the past 2 years. What do you think is the impact of the notion that the military is changing into a different kind of body that some people wouldn't want to be part of because of what they call wokeness?
Yeah, well, I've been a part of this organization for 30 years. I've seen all echelons, all aspects, and I can tell you one of the things about the United States military, without a doubt, it is the most combat credible, experienced fighting force that the world has ever seen.
This looks easy to fly.
Just 5% of young people surveyed mentioned wokeness as a reason they wouldn't join the military, according to the Army. The Virginia high school students we spoke to said they had no objection to using a drag queen to recruit soldiers.
I don't think my mindset should change just because who's like trying to recruit me.
It's just about equal opportunity at this point.
Yeah. It's good, you know, everybody has their own opinions, you know, but I think everybody's equal in my eyes.
Perhaps the most important question at issue is how the military's recruiting challenges might ultimately impact all of us. Is there concern that this could actually, though, have an impact if we can't find qualified candidates and we're looking 5-10 years down the road?
I do have a concern that this will impact readiness.
If we are far short in some areas of recruiting goals, what does that mean in terms of our safety and military readiness? Should people be worried?
Yeah, so first of all, what's interesting is that while we do have some recruiting challenges, our retention right now in the U.S. military is at an all-time high. So that's good news. And so in terms of our ability to protect the nation, we are very confident that we will continue to be able to do what we need to do to defend our nation, to protect our interests, and to be ready to go to war if we're called to do that. If there's one thing that we're good at in the U.S. military, it's solving problems, and we're confident that we're doing the right things, that the military services are doing the right things to do that, to get the word out and encourage people to be a part of this. It won't happen overnight, but we're confident that we'll see that trend reverse.
At last check, the Army, Navy, and Air Force were about 24,000 below recruiting goals, with the Marines and Space Force on track or slightly ahead.